So the domains of chemistry. So different ways to classify what we look at as the world of chemistry. So we'll start with the macroscopic domain. Now, what does that mean? That is the realm of everyday things that are large enough to be sensed directly. So something that you can physically touch. That's what a macroscopic domain is. And then we have, naturally, microscopic. That would be objects that are too small to be observed directly, so that's something you can't touch. So I'm just putting this in plain terms because I think it'll be pretty helpful. And then we have the symbolic domain. And what this one is the language used to represent components of the macroscopic and microscopic domains, so it pretty much combines them. So let me give you an example. So table salt comprising sodium ions and chloride ions, that would be an example. I'll just write it over here, Na plus Cl minus. So we're talking about the ions right there, and we'll get into this stuff, but that would be an example of symbolic domain because we're talking about the table salt, the whole table salt, so NaCl. So you can actually touch the table salt, but we're talking about the microscopic with the Na plus and the Cl minus, since those ions right there, they actually symbolize the microscopic, and the macroscopic is the actual table salt. We're talking about this table salt, and we're talking about the ions as well. So I know that's a little confusing. That example's a little confusing. Let me do a few more examples. Let me just erase this stuff. Okay, how about another example? So we'll say glass is a mixture that contains silicon dioxide, sodium oxide, and calcium oxide. Again, this may sound very confusing to you, but I assure you we will get into all of this. We're just talking about glass right now. Glass. What would that be considered? Well, I think you can understand that glass is something you can touch. Therefore, it is under the macroscopic domain. That's a pretty easy example. How about another example? Let's talk about atoms of carbon, if you can read that. All right, atoms of carbon, that would be the microscopic domain. You can't touch them. They are what we're talking about is the microscopic domain, since it is the individual atoms, the atoms of carbon that we are talking about.